Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts.
Hey everyone, checking in on the Canadian MJ space. So we ended last week keeping an eye out for daily higher lows to form. What we were anticipating is for daily higher lows to form and then for a bounce for a daily lower high, because we anticipated that we would not just drop straight from the top of the bounce down to lower lows below the bottom where we came from. And we ended the week with CGC disappointing the bulls yet again. Reason being the hourly trend change setup on Thursday. High of the day, low of the day, lower high, higher low. Then Friday morning, we broke bullish. We broke the high of Thursday, straight into consolidation. So this is a bull break with zero follow through. And right now it is the potential of you could look at it as a 4-hour bear flag. If you take off the extended hours, it's a bit more clear. The bottom line is we shifted momentum on the hourly and saw zero follow through, while the S&P 500 continued its march to all-time highs in an extremely strong day for the market on Friday. So if we see a bear break first thing, 1942 on Monday, we're going to be looking down at the next support level of 1789, that low. The 4-hour RSI is still right down at oversold. So again, I don't anticipate that we're going to break that 1789 level on the first shot, but there's no sign of the bulls right now. And they are going to have to show up and get follow through on an hourly trend change for us to be looking at even just a daily higher low to set a lower high. The one thing that we've been missing this entire time as we've been seeing these oversold bounces that have seen zero follow through is volume. And if you look back at 2017, after pulling back 50% on CGC, it was the volume that gave us a ton of confidence in the shift in momentum. So I will be watching for bull volume. It's going to be a requirement if we're going to see a shift in momentum, which we don't have at this point. So Cron, big long lower wick from Thursday, hourly trend change into Friday. And again, just sell off into the end of the day, not really much follow through. So you could say this is our daily higher low now at 793, but if we drop down, it actually wouldn't be a higher low because we did break 806 support. But we're just looking for that daily lower high. Anything under 937 now is a daily lower high, and we may be headed back to our recent lows. Again, a lot of these Canadian MJ names on the weekly time frame are bear flags. We can drop to a lower low. Are we going to drop to lower lows forever? No. Is there going to be opportunity in this sector again? Yes, but it's not now. And we're just going to be patiently waiting for it. So if we see another leg down, we'll be doing the same game. I'll probably play another CGC oversold bounce. If you've been watching, I've been trading the Canadian MJ space way less recently. I've traded CGC oversold bounces 2 or 3 times in the last 2 months, and it's gone well just because my mindset has kept my mindset has stayed, take short-term profit. We're trading against the trend. We're looking for weekly lower highs. So eventually we will hit bottom levels, and the opportunity from those bottom levels will be significant in my opinion. We'll be looking for a 50% move in these names, but we have no idea where that bottom is, and we don't have to time the bottom. We don't need that entire 50% move. We can, hit 25% of that move, and it'll certainly be worthwhile. So that's my viewpoint, big picture in the space. I get people commenting on the videos, is this space dead? It's absolutely not dead. It's just a prolonged fear cycle after an extreme euphoria cycle, and we have not found the end of that cycle yet. APHA is the daily higher low forming. Why did we close strong on APHA? Well, after hours it came out that they got their license, and so we have to be cautious of any hyper FOMO. If we see a gap up open, let's see where we closed after hours, only up 1%. So again, it's not huge news. I know a lot of fundamental longs may think that's huge news, and maybe it is big picture looking out years, but as far as the short-term market reaction, it's not big news for the market at the moment. If we see a gap up open, we have to be a bit cautious, but APHA is certainly positioned better than major Canadian MJ names at this point. 570 is the key resistance level for the bulls to try and follow through with this daily uptrend, which initially saw a bull break and zero follow through. So the most important support level now is 491, because if 491 breaks, we lose our daily higher low pattern. That tells us our weekly lower high has been set, and we look back down to the recent lows. If we can hold 491 and break 570, it will be a very notable bullish shift in APHA. So that's something we're going to be watching into next week. We've got ACB, still weak. 350 was a support level, higher low at 351, so a little double bottom down at that level. No bounce follow through at this point, and the bulls would have to break 394 and see a 10% move to even get to that resistance to try and see continuation on this bounce. ACB right now is the most likely weekly bear flag, and if it confirms that RSI is down in the mid 20s already, it'll be down approaching the low 20s. I'll be watching for the potential of a bear break with no follow through, because a bear break with no follow through means keep an eye out in the other direction, and that's going to be on my radar this coming week as well. 350, 340 supports. TLRY, again, no bounce follow through, trying for a daily higher low, no follow through on Friday, close at the low of the day. Support is 2151, 2103, and then down to the low of 2020, which is right above the all-time low. It's absolutely possible that TLRY is a weekly bear flag and setting up to drop to the all-time lows. Hexo. Hexo's trying to build a base of support. 208 was the level of the low. We have held that as a double bottom. Have to break 234, which is the top of the initial bounce. If we cannot break 234, the bulls prove absolutely nothing to us. So 208 to 234 are the only short-term levels we care about. If we break 234, do we change the daily trend? No, not in my opinion. That would be a 4-hour trend change. You know, we'd hold that support, we'd break that resistance, but I would still be viewing 286 as our daily lower high in that downtrend. So have to break 234. If we can't do that in the first couple days this coming week, we're likely going to drop to lower lows. OGI, that's a convincing bounce off of its higher low. So that's an hourly trend change with at least some follow through. Low, high of the bounce, higher low, and then a bull move over. And you look at the percentages, we moved over about 3% over the resistance. So we changed the hourly trend, went 3% after it, and then held up a bit into the end of the day Friday. Again, it stands out versus other names. It's not, I look at that by itself. I say, well, yeah, it's a nice little shift, but it's not entirely strong. But I compare it to the sector peers, and I say, yeah, that stands out as one of the stronger setups. But again, where's the bull volume? It's not here. So we're going to be looking for a daily lower high compared to 401. Anything under 401 keeps the bears fairly confident. And what we would have to see, in my opinion, is either some kind of news or some kind of catalyst for increasing bull volume to allow us to just head up and break 401. I don't think that's likely. I'm looking for a lower high. The last thing the bulls want to see is a lower high and lower low, which would have us heading back down towards the recent low. And increasing bull volume is needed. If we don't have it, bears keep control. And that's the bottom line. CTST, don't really like covering it because I honestly don't want people to get in trouble playing this name. It is absolutely a wild card of very high risk and high reward for obvious reasons, but we do have a nice pattern setting up for this equilibrium. This is what you want to see when you look for a daily higher low, sideways base of support established, and then an uptick in volume, and then a strong close. That's a convincing higher low at 104 now, and now we're looking for a lower high compared to 158, and this equilibrium is definitely something that can be worthwhile to play. If not already in a bullish position, I would not be entering now. I would be waiting for a daily lower high to be set, and then we watch for a tightening range into mid-November, and we'll see how that tightening range breaks, which will tell us a lot. BFF, another name that stands out for the bulls, so we were looking for that daily higher low to form mid this week, and we've got it now. There's that follow through for the bulls. It's all about 881 and 761 from here, because if we cannot break 881 and change this daily trend, if we fail 881 and break 761, it's then just a daily lower high and lower low, and we're looking back to our low, and the weekly chart, certainly not that strong. But if we see bull volume uptick, bulls, best case scenario, want to see a solid 600, 700,000, more than that. We want to see a 900,000 bull volume day and a move up towards 881. If we break 881, the daily trend changes, and while we will still be looking for a weekly lower high to be set at the top of that move, all that does is just give the bulls more space to work with when we top out to form a weekly higher low. If this is our top, we only percentage-wise, we don't have nearly as much space to work with as we would if we see another leg up into the mid $9 range. So it's very thinly traded. It's not that liquid, which is again why it shoots up so fast and so hard, and why it pulls back so significantly. I mean, we had a 50% pullback from almost 5 weeks of trading, down 50%. But likewise, we had a more than plus 50% move in the same amount of time. So just be aware it's more volatile. It's higher risk and higher reward possibility. And let's see if the bulls can pull it off over 881 this coming week. Labs. So Labs bulls are doing their best to defend this 450 support. And we saw a big dump on increasing bear volume on Friday, a bit of a recovery on increasing bull volume. But I would expect an equilibrium here. If we can't break 473 Monday morning, we're going to look for that hourly lower high to be set. And then we'll need an hourly higher low compared to 442 support. So how this anticipated hourly equilibrium plays out will dictate whether or not our daily higher low is established or whether we're going to keep pulling back here. Keeping in mind that the weekly time frame is just looking for lower high, but the weekly time frame also has a ton of space to form a higher low above the bottom of 310. So the bull momentum has definitely shifted. It was non-existent this past week, but considering where we stand with the space as a whole, we know that any bullish action in the sector will only benefit Labs, which is at essentially a better starting point than a lot of other Canadian MJ names. So still expecting a lower high compared to 513. At this point, the bulls are just trying to establish a new base of support after the big bull move from last week. VGW dropped to a lower low, no bear follow through, well, not significant, and then saw a decent bounce and a strong close at the end of the week. So again, 358 is now the most important resistance level for me, as I will consider anything under 358 just a lower high. But this is one of those scenarios where we start keeping an eye out for the potential of a shift, because the lower lows that we are seeing, you can see 280, it breaks, and the next day, or right after the break, we then see 4 days of upside. And then we had a support break straight into 2 days of upside. I realized earnings was a part of that, but now we have a bear break straight into a couple days of upside. So the bear breaks are leading to little bounces, but we have to see daily trend changes for that to be meaningful. KHRN, still nothing going on. I'm keeping an eye on it because there are plays down in, south of the border. We got Mexico doing some things, but we're just not seeing it here. Again, penny stock, just no interest, and I would not suggest playing this name. We need a daily trend change at a bare minimum to have me be interested at all. So again, this is one of the names that I don't even really want to cover because there is absolutely no reason to be in a bullish position at this point with such a prolonged, brutal downtrend. And it's worth keeping an eye on for when that shift happens, but we have to be disciplined to not jump in when there is no reason for bulls to be jumping in. So again, definitely still a bit of a somber mood out here in the sector. It's still weak. The weekly time frames right now are absolutely favoring another leg down. It's up to the bulls to prove to us with volume and price action that we're not going to see another leg down. Even if we see legs down, I'll be watching for the potential of a lack of follow through for those bears. And you better be aware that the bears make note of that as well. If bears are holding shorts or puts and we drop down to lower lows with no follow through, that's a bit of an incentive for them to cover as well. So we'll keep an eye on all of that as we head into November, but very patiently preserving capital and waiting for when the sector shifts. Again, just as an example, CGC 2017, before I was comfortable with the weekly trend change to say, okay, it's time to go again, we had already bounced maybe 30 to 50% from the bottom. And then there was obviously tons of opportunity. Yes, it's a very different environment, but the point being, we don't need to nail the bottom. We can miss the bottom by 20% and still have opportunity in this space if the trend is then in our favor as bulls. So I appreciate you watching. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. We'll do the USMJ video here today or tomorrow. And we will see you all this coming week. Thanks for everybody that came by and checked out the live stream on Friday. That was fun. Had a live studio audience in here as well. And we'll get back to that routine as usual next week.
Good morning. One of the ways that I stay one step ahead of the herd is by out hustling them. So every single day I'm waking up before the sun, not by an alarm, but because my body wakes me up, because it's pumped to be alive. And it's looking forward to going downstairs and making content first thing. And I love starting the day and setting the intention of the day of being productive by knocking things off my checklist before it's even 8 a.m. It's really easy to have a very productive day when you're already productive before the sun even comes up. So when learning charts and technical analysis, for me it was never, I need to do this work so I can make money. It was always, I enjoy doing this and money is going to result from it. And those are two very different mindsets to be in, and you have to ensure that your goals are in line with your enjoyment if you're going to be able to do this long-term successfully. So don't forget to do good things out there. Go get productive on the day.
We'll see you soon.
Shh, hear that? It's Sunday morning and that's the sound of the herd sleeping.